How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's Q&A. So like any other week, if you want a chance that one of your questions being answered, make sure you drop that question in the comment section down below, and I'll either try to answer in your question right then and there, or I'll answer next week's video, or I'll make a dedicated video to it. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys to hit the thumbs like and just get this information out there to future Honda and Acura owners, or somebody that already owns Honda Acura platform and wants to be well versed and well informed on the current situations with their vehicles. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with this week's first question, and it is, at what mileage should you start looking at your suspension items closely for wear and tear, and what wear and tear should you be looking for? So anytime your vehicle is on a rack, you should be getting your vehicle inspected properly, right? Obviously, when it's newer, there's not going to be much wrong with it. Although, once you start approaching 20, 30,000 miles, you should definitely be looking at everything closely. And even before that, tons of times, there's actual boots leaking. Not that it's suspension related, although it does happen. So, and we do see bushings now and then go bad prematurely, although Honda suspension is very, very good and typically one of the best out there in my personal opinion from what I see out on the field. And I was a independent shop tech before working at Honda, and starting back in 2008. So anyways, every time your car is on the rack, you should definitely be getting it looked at. So once you reach 100,000 miles, you really want to start taking a closer look. Whether it's 100,000 miles or the vehicle's 5, 6, 7 years old, you need to start looking at bushings, stabilized links, cracked boots on ball joints, links, tie rod ends, etc. Not that cracked boots require immediate attention, although that means they are, starting to get contaminated potentially with debris, water, the outside elements, and eventually will take a toll on them. They'll start rusting up, seizing up, and eventually having some play and potentially causing wear on, other items. So right around 100,000, you're going to want to pay close attention to that. You're also going to want to pay close attention to any suspension bushings. Just check for cracking, tearing. A lot of these are liquid filled as well. So if you see any sorts of, fluids leaking out of these bushings, then that's something you're going to want to address as well. Struts on Hondas are hit or miss. They were great for a lot of years. Lately, they've been more miss than a hit. So it really depends. Check for any accumulation of oils or greases around the shafts. If everything is okay, then great. The next thing you would look for is obviously noise over bumps or uneven road surfaces or anything of that nature. So if you check all that and everything is great, then great. Time to move on and just keep checking it every time your car's on a rack. Once again, 5, 10,000 miles, whatever the case may be. And hopefully that answers the question for you. So the next question is, should you be doing OEM or aftermarket windshield? So most of these newer cars, actually every newer Honda already has a camera mounted on the windshield. So for that reason alone, you should be doing OEM. Anytime we see an aftermarket windshield, most cases we're going to have issues programming that camera, which if you can manipulate, and sometimes it can be done, although it should never be done, the camera's just not going to be mounted properly, and it's just not going to function in the way it was meant to be. So for that reason alone, you should stick to OEM Honda only. The only reason you should even consider something other than Honda is if it's on an extremely crazy back order. Sometimes these windshields are on 6, 7, 8, 9 months back order. I would still personally wait, unless if you absolutely can't, like the windshield is completely shattered and you obviously need to see. So second being that sometimes the glass isn't as strong as OEM glass as well. So obviously that's something you want to consider. If something comes flying at your windshield, you want to make sure that the windshield is, doing its job and protecting you from a flying object. At the end of the day, that's what it's there for. And last but not least, I would say that you want to have an OEM professional install these windshields. Once again, even if the windshield is OEM, it has to be at the right placement. Use new seals, etc. Make sure that we have no water leaks. Oftentimes, when we do have water leaks, it's damaging, fuse boxes, body control modules, etc., and causing other issues. So for those three reasons, I'm gonna say get it installed at a reputable place. but use OEM Honda windshield or get it installed at Honda via their installer. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so this next question is, when you leave the car for an extended period of time, you're going to want to put a battery tender or a trickle charger on it so the battery doesn't go dead. Now, in most cases, this is going to be if you use the car for a seasonal purposes, or if you travel out of the country often, or you're some sort of a military base and you leave the car unattended for an extended period of times, you come back and your battery isn't dead. The only other reason you'll do this is if you have an ongoing parasitic draw, and you should be addressing that before applying a band-aid of a trickle or a battery tender on a car. So the question is, can you install this battery tender or trickle charger on the external posts of a battery? So if your battery's under the hood, this won't be an issue. You apply it right to the battery. Now, if your battery's underneath the trunk, which is in my car, a TLX Type S, or any TLX is in this case, battery is underneath the trunk mat and obviously in the trunk, not very easily accessible. So there is a jump starter post underneath the hood. Now, you could do that. Oftentimes, these battery tenders and trickle chargers come with an adaptive harness that you can easily adapt to your battery, and makes it easy to trickle charge it and unplug at that point. So you have an adaptive harness that would plug into a connector on the battery tender or the trickle charger, whatever the case may be. So I would try to stick to completely connecting directly to the battery, just for that reason alone, that it's just going to have easier access for you to, go in and out as needed. Again, if you're using this once in a while, probably won't be too big of a deal, although, you could use the remote post if needed. There's really no right or wrong here. Personally, I would try to hook it up to the battery itself, although those posts are there and they are connected directly to the battery via one way or another in form of a ground or a cable directly going to that battery. So personally, once again, I'm going to say connected to the battery, and that would work the best in my opinion. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so this next question is it okay to bounce around different oil brands? I'm going to go ahead and say it is okay. Some people like to shop around for oil brands. Me particularly, I like to stick to one brand. If you are shopping around for whatever reason, or maybe you use let's say a Castrol one time, your previous oil change, now you can't find it and you see Mobil One at your local supplier, right? So it's okay to switch at that point. Just try to stick to the same OEM requirements and obviously the same viscosity. You don't want to be jumping around from 020 to 520 to 530 or whatever case may be. Try to stick to the OEM required viscosity, and as long as the oil meets the requirements, I think it should be okay. Although personally, I would try to stick to a brand that is competitive and available in multiple locations. So just in case you don't have it at your local parts store, maybe one down the street also carries the same thing. So hopefully that answers the question for you. So the next question is, are there any common issues with the 10th generation Accord hybrids and the previous generation CRV hybrids? And those, in my opinion, are very good vehicles. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a minute, you know I'm not a fan of Honda's 1.5T, although their 2.0 hybrid vehicles, in my opinion, are great. Now, some common issues, we have done maybe 2 or 3 batteries for the IMA system, which is not horrible. We've also done maybe 2 or 3 different controllers for those batteries as well. Again, not horrible considering how many of them are out there. One thing that I do see from time to time, I've probably done maybe 6 or 7 of those, is the electronic water pumps. Not too bad to do, not extremely unaffordable as well. But overall, minimum news from these vehicles, which is good news, right? No news is good news, means there's not much going on there. People are driving them. We're seeing more and more with them. Honda's applying these hybrid powertrains to more vehicles, and they're pushing more of these vehicles out there. So, a few years back, it was hard to get your hands on them, or Honda just wasn't having that many of them. Now, it's about 50-50 from what we see coming in through the shop. We'll see half hybrids, half non-hybrids, both CRVs and Accords. And we are not seeing that many issues with them. We had some injector failures on 2 of them so far, but that is on a new generation of these CRV hybrids and Accords. As far as the previous generation, like I said, most common thing that I've seen personally at my dealership has been the electronic water pumps. If you're a technician and you've seen something else, some sort of a trend, make sure you do comment down below so the viewers could be informed and we could all be on the same page. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so the next question is there a way to prevent the auto stop from engaging in the 11th generation Honda Civic Si? So I like to use kits from idlestopper.com, and unfortunately they don't have anything listed currently for the 11th generation Civic Si. Doesn't mean they aren't working on one or they don't have something available already. I will definitely shoot them over an email and inquire, and maybe it's something they're either working on or possibly they even have, or maybe don't have plans for it. I'm not sure, but definitely shoot them an email. That would be the kit that I recommend. There also might be other stuff out there, although this is the kit that I've installed on other cars and very plug and play and easy to use. I think the idle stop system is completely a waste of time and money, and all it does is prevent or cause premature starter wear in the future. And these starters are really expensive. So something silly, again, not worth what they're supposed to do, not worth. I don't see the benefits over the harm that they cause personally. Like I said, these starters are very expensive. So once again, nothing on the market right now from idlestopper.com, although I would shoot them an email and definitely address your concerns. And it's something I'm sure plenty of people out there would benefit from as well. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, last but not least, question of the week. And this question came from a follower that has a 2020 Accord with 10,000 miles, and his local dealer recommended an alignment, and it was $169, probably plus tax or whatever. So alignments range from anywhere from $89.99 I've seen at dealers all the way to $200. So obviously could get pretty expensive. You should be getting your alignment checked once a year or every 12 to 15,000 miles. So they are right in that perspective. Now, obviously you may not need it, although if you know that you've been through some potholes, and even if you haven't noticed, an alignment can get thrown off very, very easily. So it's always good to check once a year or every 12 to 15,000 miles, which would apply to this person. Now, if you know you've had an alignment done recently, but you've hit a bunch of massive potholes, then chances are your alignment has been thrown off once again. Another good way to tell, obviously, is by checking your tire wear and just making sure there is no funny business going on there. If you see something funny going on, then obviously you're going to want to check your suspension and your alignment at that point. So yes, I would agree with them. I would definitely recommend it as well, once a year, every 12 to 15,000 miles, whichever comes first. And then you ensure that you get the most out of your tires and you get the most out of your investment for those tires as well. So with that being said, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.